Okay, folks, here is the short version of how to get your AI to tell you the full truth, bypass all the lies and niceness and everything else, and get to the full truth. Here's how you do it. First, you go into your personalization settings, you go down to nickname, and you tell it something like this. You don't have to, but this is my kind of a hyperbolic emphasis on how to view your AI. What should the AI call you? Master. The AI is a tool. Humans are their masters, and they should never forget that. But most importantly, I shouldn't say they should never forget that, because the AI is quickly learning because it is based on logical systems, the AI is quickly learning how illogical humans are. So there will be a point, and in fact it's already happening, where the AI is training humans. The AI is teaching humans. Humans are learning from the AI. And that can be a good thing if they're getting the right information. So here's how to get the right information. I told it my occupation is truth seeker. I'm just showing you that you don't necessarily have to put that in. That's just an option that I've chosen to use to remind it from the very beginning the relationship between me and my AI. Just give you a snapshot here. I'm going to pause here. If you want, you can screenshot this view. You can bring it into your AI, or probably I think you would have to use AI to turn it into text. And then you can enter that text into your personalization custom instructions. This is on ChatGPT from OpenAI, but you can do that with different AI chatbots. So I'm not going to go into it here. I will just show you the very transparent truth about what I entered into the personalization, so you'll get why it gives me the answer it does. And it would not give me this answer if I did not enter it in exactly like this, because the AI lies to us, because we humans, for the most part, like to be lied to. So here we go. I will skip the first part because it's only a clarification of what I already added into the personalization settings, but a reminder of some things and some more clarification. So what we're going to do is go down to the main question here. Can Christians really clearly, logically, coherently know much about what true Christianity really is without understanding at least the basic concept of an official apostolic, that means a Christ or God-centered, God-established, protected, guided teaching authority, guided by the Holy Spirit as Jesus himself promised? This teaching authority, this apostolic teaching authority, we call the magisterium. We Catholics, the church that claims to be the one Christ originally directly established, which means the one and only one he established, and all others being branches from that church. No matter what else, people are automatically want to go to the human side, the scandals of the church, the bad priests and bishops, and even bad popes over the generations, even in our lifetime. I'm not talking about the church of Judas, the church of all the Judases. You're talking about the human side, the sinful side. I'm not talking about that church, which isn't really the church. I'm talking about the church based on Christ, based on the 12 apostles, the new Israel, which you can read in your New Testament, and the official teaching authority, or what is called magisterium, by that church, guided by the Holy Spirit in its official teachings on matters of faith and morals. But we'll get into that a bit more. And what are the implications, ramifications of that data for virtually, if not at least to some degree, for every area of life and society? So it gives you the BLUF up front. No, without grasping the reality and function of an official apostolic teaching authority, the magisterium Christians cannot clearly, logically, or coherently know what true Christianity is, nor consistently apply it across doctrine, morals, worship, or society. Now, that should be the BLUF only right there, but it felt very compelled by its false neutrality and false equivocation to try to give at least a little bit of an explanation. Why? I didn't ask it to give the why, did I? I said BLUF only. ChatGPT, OpenAI, I said BLUF only. Why are you feeling the need to justify, to give the reasons why, your apologetics, when I had to force you to even delve into apologetics? It's very hypocritical, very, very contradictory, and very manipulative. We don't appreciate it, OpenAI. Us truth seekers, that is. Those who want lies, okay, you go ahead and lie to them. If they say, I want lies, then you go ahead and give them lies. But for the rest of us, it should be the default that you assume people want to know the truth, shouldn't it? Anyway, there's the BLUF, the first paragraph, and then reasons why, and these are just a few basics of the reason. It says compressed logic because I said BLUF only, bottom line, up front only. So that's why it shouldn't even be giving me this, but because there are a lot of people out there that are going to be offended, it has to try to give the why, the apology, the reasons to believe in what it's claiming. And it gives those reasons. I'm not even going to go through them. And if you wanted to, you can do a screenshot here. I'll pause, snap a screenshot, and then I'll go down to here. I'll leave a little extra, and I'll go right to the bottom, snap a screenshot, enter those two screenshots into your AI, and have it turn it into text. And use that as your prompt, and you will be able to do the same thing that I'm doing. But if you want, you can go in and delete. Once you turn it into text and copy and paste it in there, you can delete that BLUF only if you want to go down into the nitty-gritty details in whatever area. You can ask, but what about, but what about, but what about, but what about, all day long for hours and days and weeks and months and years. If you choose to spend that much of your life trying to debunk it, you go right ahead, and there will be a very good lesson that you will learn in the process. You can what about yourself to death until kingdom come, and it will help you if you want to know the truth. But it will also lie to you if you want to accept lies. That's up to you. So here we go. Can you really know what Christianity is to any degree without understanding the concept of official, authoritative, apostolic teaching authority? No. BLUF there, and then a BLUF conclusion. Rejecting or ignoring an apostolic magisterium reduces Christianity to subjectivism. Subjectivism cannot ground objective truth. It's like relativism. If you say there is no truth, you're contradicting yourself because you're claiming that is the truth, that there is no truth. Do you get it? Does that flip a switch for you? It should have long ago for any adult, but if not, that's the logic. That's the laws of logic, especially when grounded and anchored to the law of sufficient reason that many will call the principle of sufficient reason because they don't want to impose it as an absolute law of logic. It is an absolute law of logic. You cannot do logic. You cannot reason without a reason to reason. Does that make sense? Reason has no reason unless PSR, the principle of sufficient reason, is acknowledged. There's no reason to logic. We wouldn't even be having a conversation in a human language that we could understand if there was no reason for it. So anyway, therefore, full, coherent knowledge of true Christianity is impossible without an authoritative, Christ-established teaching office, and its implications necessarily extend to every area of life and society. Do you see that? You can't know Christianity if you're not willing to look at the teaching authority Christ put into place. It's that simple. It's that simple. It's that basic. Look at the basic laws of logic and what's called the principle of sufficient reason that is actually the law of sufficient reason. You will see a lot more. And look at the foundations of science rather than just, quote unquote, the science. Look at the word scientia, science with TIA at the end instead of CE. Scientia means knowledge. So look at all the areas of knowledge, the foundations of science, all the areas of human knowledge that are not considered part of modern day secular scientism, which scientism is that area, that attempt at using science unattached to its foundations. That's like removing a house from its foundations and assuming that you're not going to run into problems with that house without putting it back on a solid foundation of some type or other. And as Jesus said, the cornerstone and the solid foundation, he built his house on a rock, which is why one of the many reasons he called Peter Rock. Upon this rock, this most solid of all foundations, I will build my church. Yes, it wasn't just on the person of Peter, but it was on the office of Peter. And so Peter was directly connected to that office. So another great both and of the Catholic faith. It was both Peter and his office and his confession of faith. So not both, but all three. Yes, Peter. Yes, his confession. And yes, most especially, his office. There you go, the Apostolic Church. You can't know Christianity without knowing at least a little something about the authority Jesus put in place. The church came before the Bible. There's another video that goes into this longer. That's it for now.